Valentine's Day is amongst us again. Now, by the time you guys are watching this, it's behind you, but really that's the point of this conversation. Valentine's Day and chocolates and flowers and all the things you love.
Yeah.
I never know what to
That
get to
sounds a
Ariela because she doesn't like
well, first of
flowers
all,
and
we
she
don't
doesn't
even
like.
celebrate Valentine's Day,
But back
honey.
in the day when we did, back in the day when we were, more focused on the romance, and we'll get there, we still have plenty of romance, but Valentine's Day is all about that. It's about the peak experience. It's about the going out and the 3-star Michelin restaurant and the rose petals to the hot tub, which is, I'm not here to say that's not wonderful and beautiful and like we should actually do that. But to me, where we're at, midlife and onwards, but any stage of life is February 15th. To me, that's the day to celebrate and celebrate integrating all that's awoken and experienced on the 14th. How do you have a lived Valentine's Day in the real world, in real ways that doesn't sound like you're squashing it or, turning it into sort of shades of gray? It's still colorful. It's still vibrant. It still makes you feel alive and in love. But how do you do it every day?
I think that you and I are really, really good at figuring out how to integrate peak experiences. I think we've struggled with it, but I think, if you want to use Valentine's Day, which I'm laughing inside because I don't remember the last time we actually celebrated Valentine's Day. But I think it's really important as people integrate into a relationship, into a marriage, into almost 27 years of marriage and beyond and into midlife. There's got to be more than chocolates and gifts. And there's a day-to-day respect and love and deepening that needs to happen between two people.
Mm.
And the most amazing thing, I think, is that relationships morph and change just like our bodies morph and change, and everything is energy. And the integration, or the February 15th and beyond, it's dealing with those changes and becoming different people. And we've been iterations of so many different people, and we honor the path that we're on. And I think that's a part of integration and everyday love and magic.
Aho, amen. Yes. I hear the two words that I am really exploring, and maybe we're exploring together, which is Valentine's Day is about sex. Like it or not, it's really a day of sex, of that sort of, what everything that represents. Not is wonderful, but February 15th or the integration is really about intimacy. And I've been doing a lot of sort of short reels and talks and conversations around that the two are not synonymous. And especially the morning of life, the first half of life, it's sex. Like you want to talk about intimacy. Maybe you have moments of it. The second half of life, sex is nice, but it's about intimacy. Does that resonate?
It does. I would say it maybe in a different way, because I feel like when we were in our 30s and having babies, there was an intimacy in raising a family and having babies and doing that together and building something together. And I think as we get older and come into midlife and the kids are older or gone, it isn't, it's maturing and deepening, and it's, wow, I just can't, I know I'm very visual. When I look at you at our age now, kind of makes me like emotional. I think of like this beautiful rose. And for a long time, we've like hidden that, even though we've been so close. And so when I think of intimacy, I think of like allowing that part of us that, roses have thorns. And if you allow the rose to blossom, the thorns don't go away. but the rose opens and blossoms, and that's heart centering. That's intimacy, and instead of like root chakra, it's heart chakra.
Mhm.
And if we open our heart chakras like a rose together, it feeds the rest of our bodies physically. It feeds the emotions. It feeds the energy, the relationship. It feeds the communication. But it's here. It starts in the heart.
When you say the morning of life, the first half of life, are especially, the early stages of our life together, 20s and 30s into our 40s. I agree with you that it was intimate raising a family, is intimate raising a family, but I never would have framed it that way. I never would have said, oh, the grind is intimate, right? And to me, that's what I'm talking about, is the shift of, I was never even pursuing intimacy. That wasn't the pursuit. The pursuit was raising a family and love, absolutely, and connection and, sex and all those things. And now it's the pursuit. Now it's the point,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's for me part of the big shift, is I just want intimacy, and I'll find it with you in anything we're doing, right? And so everything else in some ways is an expression of intimacy, whereas before all those things were to get us to intimacy. This is helping me kind of frame it differently. Before it was everything was a means to get to intimacy. Now intimacy is the means to do everything else.
Would you say that is partly because you have found greater intimacy within yourself?
Yes. And I pity the man who doesn't have a Ariela in his life. I truly, genuinely pity him, because I don't know if I could have found it my way to the mirror, right? Yes, it's self-work. Like, you can't do the work for me, but I could only find my way back to the mirror, the guy in the glass, my newest book, probably out by the time you're watching this, is because of your love. In some ways, many ways, you holding the vision of that man in the mirror when I couldn't hold it for myself.
I don't know what to say. I guess this is supposed to happen. I think this is how we help people. We can talk about it. The morning of life, raising kids, it's hard. And building businesses and having parents die, that's hard. But when you have somebody where you don't abandon, you don't leave, you're committed to the foundation, then the foundation gets to be on top when the kids grow up, the business is built, and, the parents are still around and all that. But like what you're saying is like, there's a switch in our energy. There's a switch in our attention. And our intimacy, I believe, was in the cuteness of babies and the raising of them and building of them. And that to me, that was intimacy. This intimacy, there's nobody else around but you and I. And I think that's when people jump ship, is they wake up. That's kind of what we're doing, is that we're going into a deeper layer of who you are and who I am and who we are together. And many people at this stage decide that, they did the hard stuff. They raised the kids. They've got good kids. They stuck around for that part, and then they're frustrated and they're burnt out and they want to be seen, right? Like you always say, Wayne Dyer says, into me see, right? People just want to be seen for who they are. And I think that that's what we're doing in this stage of life. We're seeing each other.
Yeah. I want to come back to how yes, we're seeing each other now, but I couldn't see myself for a long period of time, right? It's like only now that I'm finally fully seeing myself. So what do you do in the lean years? Like in the Bible, there's like 7 lean years, and like the weathering the storm. And we did abandon each other. We did turn on each other. We did, like, it's not like the seamless, oh, we've always been. No, there were lean years of intimacy,
Oh, yeah.
right? And especially, I'm put it on me, especially from my perspective, because I was in the doing mode. I was in the production and the accumulation and the conquering and the masculine. And I don't necessarily regret it. I'm not proud of it, but I wouldn't be where I am. We wouldn't be where we are. So, like, it's not about going back and beating it up, but as just acknowledging that there was a long stretch of barren intimacy for me.
Yeah.
That I didn't feel, that I didn't know, that I didn't connect like I'm connected now. And that's my point. Is we all need people in our lives to hold the vision for us of the mirror that we could be. Right? That Jerry Maguire line, I love you for the man you like almost are. And I know that's taking it too far because you loved me for who I was then. But I don't know. I'm grappling with, I couldn't have gotten here without you holding the vision for me and for us.
I mean, of course, you've told me that before, and I appreciate that so much. And I've been, I think as someone who holds the vision when, I think we trade off. You hold the vision more daily for me. And I think it's a trade off. I think that you hold my personal vision of what I can be, and I have held your vision. And I grapple with, I'm a foundational person. I don't work if the bedrock is shaky. That's my upbringing. That's who I am. And so when I choose, I go all in. And I think the lean years taught me, like, how do I stay all in and stay true to myself? And so I think those lean years taught me how to stand up for myself and speak my truth. And I really felt like the last 10 years, not the last 10 years, but like, during those lean years, I had to kind of make it on my own. And we didn't leave each other, and we loved each other through it. And it wasn't easy. But I think part of intimacy really is not abandoning the foundation and yet jumping off from that foundation. And for me, it was like, okay, he's jumping ship on a few things that I'm going to anchor into. It's like you gave up some things and I sunk in deeper. And it was necessary for me to be sitting here where I am today. And I think it's a trade-off. And I don't think that in a marriage, we're always going to be on the same page at the same time. And if we are, it's a miracle. But intimacy is like, where's your bedrock? And do you self-abandon? I mean, I think some of the women that I work with, they want to abandon marriage because they abandon themselves. Like I think that's a big part of it. Self-abandonment is key.
It's interesting. The men that I work with, when they abandon marriage, it tends to be because they want to avoid themselves, right? They want to go find a newer, prettier, flashier, shinier thing to divert their attention. Because as a teacher of mine once said, giving sermons, it's easier to change your audience than your talk. Mm-hmm. Take the same talk and go do it in a different audience, and they say, wow.
Well, yeah, that's the midlife crisis.
Yeah, the same talk, the same way of being, the same with the same person. She's like, I've seen this bullshit talk before. Mm-hmm. Right? So you change your audience, you dump her, you dump your life, you change your profession, you go out into the world. So that makes me think the women and men at this crossroads, midlife crossroads we're talking about here, have such different worldviews.
Completely. I think that, in another podcast, we're talking about feminine and masculine, which we might bleed into this one too. I think that women and men are radically different, and we have to honor our differences and honor just the difference in the way that we come to a marriage and a relationship. But I think a lot of women were angry because we haven't been given a voice. And we wake up, it's menopause, post-menopause, and there's a lot of fire. And we wake up and we want more, right? We want more from you.
So maybe we could put a pin in the second half of life and sort of women reclaiming divine masculine and men reclaiming divine feminine.
Yeah.
And maybe we hold that there. We're going to come back to that. And we come back to holding the vision for each other up into. So like this one is more up to this crossroads, and the next one will be on the other side of the crossroads. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And so coming back to up to the crossroads, holding the vision. I guess people listening to this who are in that lean years, whatever that might mean, to understand, first of all, like that's normal. It can't all be Valentine's Day, right? Coming back to our sort of the orientation point. And if it's just Valentine's Day, which you've been sold a bill of goods, if you think it's going to be like date night, sex night, fun night, fun times without the lean years, the lean years they're necessary.
Right.
Like, I want people to hear, like, if you're in those years, like there's nothing wrong with you. You're going through it because that's also part of what makes the other side of it so sweet.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think, the integration, or February 15th, is really about what is my foundation? And the foundation is, what is the foundation between the two of us? I think as we get older, the biggest foundation, and the question is, what do you and I personally sink into? And a lot of people have a hard time with the idea of sinking into God. What does that mean? How does that, we've talked about that before. I don't really care what your version of the divine is. If we're only sinking into our partners, we're going to be abandoned, disappointed, frustrated, and maybe divorced. Because if you are the sun and the moon that I rise and fall upon, I'm screwed. Right? So to me, part of this integration February 15th theme is, I'm not your source and you're not my source. And I know a lot of people and a lot of us in survival, like think about lean years, is often you're just getting by, right? You're in survival. So maybe you don't have time to think about the idea of, well, there's something more here. But I find that those lean years forced me into, there has to be something more than you and I together. And we've always had the foundation of the divine. It's changed and morphed. And for you, I don't know if you had the foundation of the divine, right? That's your story.
Yeah, for 10 years, I certainly did not.
Yeah. I think we started out that way, and I moved deeper and you went into your own path. But I think that is the important part of this discussion, is there's got to be something more than the two of us struggling in these lean years.
That's so true. The first half, not of life, but of a marriage, maybe, like kind of that 20, 30 up to the 40s period, not for everybody, it's like a bell curve, but is a scarcity model. If you're not careful, which is like somebody wins, somebody loses, transactional, who's taking care of, who's fulfilling, right? And if you don't, then I do, and I do, don't, da, 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 da. And there's a scarcity that you're just drawing from each other. It's like sort of out at sea, got to be careful. Like, you swim out to save somebody, the statistics are you're both going to drown.
Yeah. I mean, it makes, when you're talking, it reminds me of, having your own lifeboat. But what does that mean? It does mean that we really do have to do our own healing work. It really is important when we hit this stage in life to recognize that there's so many layers and awakenings available to us. It doesn't mean that every person needs to be a spiritual person. But if we're living like we lived when we were 30 and we're pushing 60, then we're not in contemplation of where we're going. And most people fear the intimacy, number one, as we get older, because it's really the fear of like being close to somebody is the fear of losing somebody. And then you get into the fear of dying. Right. And I would love to have like an 80-year-old on here.
An 80-year-old couple.
Yeah. To talk about the intimacy of life when you're in a state, when you're the elder, and what that means in a healthy marriage at 80 years old. And because I feel like when you're in your 50s, you start to say, wow, I'm not 30. Like my body hurts a little bit and I can't do things the way I did. I need to pay attention. So intimacy is actually, now that I'm kind of talking about it, intimacy is paying attention to yourself. If you're going to do the same things you always did, you're a child, right? Stop being a child and be an adult. And step into or even open the door to the wise person that you're here to be.
Right. It's that Jerry Maguire other line, as I think about it, that I think is atrocious, which is you complete me.
Right.
And that's the first half. That's intimacy is, two halves making a whole. Right.
Yeah.
And what we've discovered, or we're in the process of discovering, is that's not intimacy. That's scarcity. Because if I take it away, then you don't have it.
Yeah, then I'm in a drought.
And you're then dependent on me to get it.
Right.
Right. Like you said something like, I didn't give you autonomy or agency or whatever it was. Understandably, you say that. I can't give you anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's yours.
Mm-hmm.
You take it or you give it up.
Right.
Right. And so, but that's what we do, both of us. Like I gave up my feeling and spiritual center to you. I outsourced it to you. That's the word. I outsourced it.
Do you feel that you outsourced it to me?
In the first half, up until relatively recently.
Like in your 10-year, like your lean years?
Yeah, like up until maybe a year or two ago, I was in my desert years, my lean years, leaving the rabbinate, out in the desert, professionally, personally, spiritually. I really did. And those are some of the meat of the years of us raising children. I outsourced feelings, right? You're the feeling center, that you're sort of the heart of the family and I'm the brawn, the muscle of the family kind of thing. I'm the doing.
Now you're a teddy bear dad.
And that's our next podcast is now I'm the heart center. You're the heart center, but I'm participating in it.
You are.
But I've no longer outsourced it to you.
Do you feel like I haven't really heard you say it like that. So I have a question. Like, do you feel like you consciously outsourced it to me?
I mean, this is where we do get into, I think, sociologically, culturally, I think I'm supposed to outsource it to you. I think that's the messages I got, first of all, as a man, right? Like stop being a pussy, stop being a, vulnerable, all that stuff, all the bullshit, which now I help men, teach men, provide context for men to say that's garbage, but that exists. And I don't care if it's 2026 and you think one thinks we're so enlightened. Listen to the stuff that our kid hears in middle school. It's the same shit that I heard in 1980 something. Sure. And it's all that stuff. And so I just put it away like it's weak.
Right.
And I don't have time for weakness because I got 4 kids and a wife and, like who has time for this shit? And so I partially, I won't blame it on, but I attribute some of it to that messaging. And the other part of me is I was scared to feel my feelings. So much under there. And as a man, I mean, this is like masculine work 101. I have this motion wheel in the other room and I know that you and your clients look at it and go, that is like obvious. Like that's redundant. Like, who needs an emotion wheel? Guys literally look at it and go, wait a minute. I hang out in the inner circle and it's like mad, glad, sad. That's like the emotion wheel for most guys in the lean years or in the grinding years. That's how I lived. It was just anger.
Right.
This is the Enneagram 8, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it was easier and safer for me to be angry.
Yeah.
And then over the past couple of years, especially, I've been getting underneath, it's sadness and it's shame and it's fear and it's regret and it's longing and it's desire. It's all this stuff. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's what makes me want more, right? That's February 15th to me. Like, it's exciting to me when you feel your shit. And I don't know if other women feel that way, but for someone who leads women in like feeling the layers of their own pain, because I know what's underneath your pain and your feelings. Every single time I lead somebody in this idea of, I call it journeying inside of your body, it's always like those mad, glad, usually it's fear on top. It's fear and anger is always on top. When you get to the very bottom, which first is darkness and death and terror, it's always light underneath there. 99.9%. And when we go down to that, when we feel all those layers, underneath is light. You can call it God, you can call it joy, but it's infectious and it moves through your body and through your being. And that to me is true intimacy, especially at this age, to watch you as a woman who I've always longed for you to feel your feelings and to watch you thaw out, right? And not make me the one who's the feeler or the heart gives me, number one, makes me feel so much closer to you. Number two, it gives me permission to enter into more of my power, to enter into not less feeling, but more energy. When two people dance in a relationship for as long as we have, we don't even realize how we push and pull from each other. And we can say we're independent and yes, of course we are. But there is an energy that we exchange. And sometimes it's like, okay, this is your time. Here you go. And sometimes it's mine. And eventually, and also like we still have kids at home. So everybody's stage of intimacy is different. But it is this like closeness that I feel when you feel your pain, because I know what's coming underneath.
Totally. And as you say that, I really want to kind of also qualify for some of the guys listening or for some of the women listening about their guys. The opposite of the version of me that I described, the Enneagram 8, the angry, the exterior armor, isn't the nice guy. He's also hiding the pain, right? There's a nice guy version of it, the mushy, right? And it wouldn't make you feel safe if I was that version of it. Right. And so there's two different ways of hiding as a man. I say, like, there's a book called No More Mr. Nice Guy, but also No More Mr. Asshole. The No More Mr. Asshole, the one that I moved through and a lot of guys move through, that's obvious, right? There's pain underneath it. There's a softness, there's a vulnerability, which is what you wanted. But I also don't want it to be like, well, the mushy, the nice guys, that's also the answer, because that wouldn't make you feel safe.
Right.
Right. So it's about getting to the vulnerability, authenticity, not mushy, but
real
feeling.
It's
real
the Velveteen
softness.
Rabbit story, right?
Tell us the story.
I don't know. I don't remember the whole story, but I think what happens is it a boy that
loves the rabbit,
and the rabbit is old and dirty, and the boy feels like that's just what I mean, he's real.
Well, the skin horse is the one who says something about real isn't what you look like. It's when you're all rubbed off and
you're
falling
wrinkled
apart.
and falling apart.
And when it says when you're real, what people think of you doesn't matter anymore. Right. And you can never be broken, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, that's it. And so there's these two extremes that almost all men go through. They kind of pick sides, one or the other. But I say that because now I understand that my true gift to you is to kind of get underneath it, so you don't have to do it for me or for us. And it frees up that energy for you to not have to take care of me, like one more of your children in that way. And I think a lot of guys go through it like me, where we just outsource that to our wife. right? Help me feel by the way, which is why Valentine's Day is kind of corrupted. Sex is corrupted because most guys then say, well, I need to have sex to feel.
Right.
And then the woman says, stop using me to feel your own feelings.
Well, a woman doesn't feel safe or comfortable enough to have sex if a man is either degrading her, shaming her, not feeling his feelings, letting her know she's not good enough.
Or using her to feel his own feelings, right? Like that's a big one too. I think that one's under the cover of acceptable.
Right.
Right? Like I'm not degrading you and shaming you and whatever, but I can't feel. So can we have sex tonight? Right?
Totally.
Without saying that, but that's how most men at certain points in their life approach sex is they don't even realize that they're not addicted to sex. They're looking for their feelings.
Right.
And they've outsourced it to sex. And that means, well, it's either by myself or with you. And, it's like one of those, but that's still using sex to feel your feel, or using your wife or using sex to feel your feelings. And that's the work. Can I feel my feelings
on my own?
Right? Without the aid of sex or my wife or anything outside of myself.
Right.
That's the work of a man.
And I think the work of a woman is to be true with how she feels under the anger and the exhaustion. And I mean, this is to be continued. I feel like we should have listen to this podcast first, and then we'll continue the next one. But true intimacy for a woman is to let go of the codependence to take care of everybody else. And once she has some space to take care of herself, there isn't this burden or this heaviness. She feels free. I actually think, as we talk about like February 15th, right? Integration. I think what we're talking about ultimately, if we do get underneath it all, is a sense of freedom, right? Like if I free you to be who you truly are, and I give you permission, and you give me permission to be who I truly am, and you create the container for me to spread my wings, then that to me is true love and intimacy and closeness, because you see me and the need for me to feel free. And I don't know if that's a male female thing, but for females, for women, I think the intimacy is I free you to explore and be who you are and let yourself fly. And again, this is another podcast, and you create that container of safety so I can spread my wings. And especially if a woman has raised children and worked and taken care of everybody, what she wants to hear is, I love you so much that I'm going to find out who I am, and I want to give you that freedom to explore who you are. As the kids leave, as we have more freedom, the next half of life, and I really want to interview an 80-year-old couple, is that exploration of like the body fades, the soul starts to expand. And if we don't have space to listen, then what is intimacy? It's listening, it's freedom, it's giving ourselves permission, all while maintaining the foundation, the faith, the foundation that like, we're here, we're good.
And then when a woman does that, she no longer has a need to change her husband, right? That's it's sort of the line of marriage of every couple enters in, the man thinking his wife will never change, and the woman thinking her man will change. Right. And that's just like he's trying to hold on to the physical, like look, and she's trying to mold him into the man she wants. That's not how it works. That's not intimacy. Right. And when a woman gives up on, when she reorients herself to her own mirror, she finds what she needs. And maybe that's a segue to the next conversation, which we'll wrap up here, is maybe they get divorced because she's done trying to change him and she's done waiting.
Right.
And she's finding it on her own. And a man, by the way, then does the work, starts finding it on his own, doesn't need his wife to feel his feelings anymore. And if she's not growing, maybe he has to leave. So I just think it's about having the security and the trust and the faith that you have to be willing to give up, to let go if you want to have intimacy. And I can't get you to be the woman I want you to be. I got to create a container that allows you to fly away.
Mm-hmm.
And you choose to fly away or you choose to stay. I mean, it's, if you love somebody, set them free kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's easy to say. It's really hard to do when you're in fear and you're afraid that if you open the cage door for the other, they're going to fly away.
Right.
But that's the only pathway to intimacy.
I'm going to sneeze.
So
hold on.
You sneeze and I'll start wrapping us up.
Okay, it's gone.
Because I'm keeping a track, Yovel, on time, and I'm looking at a clock, and it has been 10:10 up there for 50 minutes. I just realized the clock doesn't work. So new battery for the clock. Note to the studio. This is an amazing studio, by the way, and I love working with Let's Do Podcast and Yovel. You're putting out some really great. We just show up. There's a plug for Let's Do. They don't want me or need me to do this, but we just show up and we talk about a safe container, like a great container.
Yeah.
I don't have to think. We don't think about anything. Like we just talk. Opens up the vibration.
Amazing.
And I love it. So we're going to wrap it up. I'm in charge of wrapping up this one, and you'll be in charge of wrapping up the next one. And this is really a conversation about, like, can we make the shift as individuals, as a couple, maybe even as a society, from February 14th as the focus to February 15th, from ecstasy to intimacy. That's pretty good.
That was good.
I'm giving you the final word.
My prayer is that this podcast brings love and understanding to couples that are struggling, and that we can all find a place where we understand each other more by freeing each other from expectations and rules that we lived by that no longer work, and that marriage and partnership always changes and evolves, and that we can all grow in intimacy by evolving with each other and letting each other change and grow.
I was wrong. I'm taking the final word. That was so beautiful, but this is for us. And that is that if you like this, let us know, because we're sort of at a crossroads in our work. We're going to keep doing. I work with men in my masculine development work, and you work with women in your feminine development work. And we're doing more together. We've been talking a lot about definitely our purpose is also to share our magical, mystical, mysterious love with the world as our contribution to the world. And, we're being more vulnerable. Like, we're both sitting here crying on camera. Mm-hmm. But if you like it, let us know. And we want to keep giving more and sharing more and doing more. So let's just do that.
Uh-huh.
I love you.
I love you too.